Okay. Likutey Moharan, second Chelek, Torah Aleph. We are holding by Seif Yud. This is paragraph 10. The whole Mahalach, the whole structure of this particular teaching, after the very beginning, it says that the Jew was created in order to have dominion over the angel. The way to do it is, to overcome the resistance of the angels to that state. One needs to connect himself to the root of Nishmas Yisrael, of the souls of Am Yisrael. The way to do it is to connect oneself to the famous tzaddikim in the generation. That is the basic term. And that was basically covered in the first couple of paragraphs. Since then, the Rebbe has been diving into the issue of how do you know who to connect yourself to? This is because there are some, tzaddikim who genuinely are the source of the neshamas that are under them. And then there are other people that have the fame and fortune of leaders and tzaddikim that really, are actually, ambitious people who have a drive to lead and to be, the head of the class, that their stature as leaders does not emanate from the fact that they really are the shorish of Nishmas Yisrael, but they're leading because they were able to manipulate the people under them and push ahead and gather people around them and became leaders. But really, they're nothing. They're not. They're just bold-faced people. They're just they're impudent.
It's called a false leader.
Yeah, they're not leaders. I mean, it's.
They're leading, but they're leading to.
Yeah, the thing is that whoever it is that they're leading, look, the Nikuda over here. I'm not sure.
Once we've said something like that, the people who follow them are going to get a punishment, something like that.
Now, okay. So the thing is that we're not dealing right now with this particular issue, because there is anybody who is participated. Anybody who participated. Hey, yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, I know it is.
Yeah.
Bugle call. So, anybody who has ever participated in an election campaign knows that it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, once you're in it. It's almost like a World Series but you're taking part in it. You're like actively involved. And so people get chayas, to supporting their candidate. And once he wins, they're criminal malchus, they're close, to the powers that be, to get influence, blah, 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 whatever it is. So the Rebbe says these are the people who ultimately pay for that. He says because the leaders themselves is they have big yitzhara for that. What can you do? But those that crown them, coronate them, they're going to give din v'cheshbon. What business of yours? What do you? The whole thing is a shanda. The whole thing is fake. But it comes from a certain realization or lack of realization that it's not a game. To lead Am Yisrael, it's not a game. It's not a sport. It's not a spectator sport. I choose Bibi, I choose Trump, I choose this, I choose that. It's not about that. You are basically promoting the candidacy of someone who's supposed to be responsible to, the people under him to get them to Olam Haba. Well, it's a heavy duty job. It's not a. So the leader himself, the candidate himself, even says he's not that chayev. He's not so, his transgression is not that great because they have big yitzhara. So why? So why is this a teretz? Why can't you say that the one who promote them also have yitzhara? The point is that the one who is running for office, as it were, actually talks himself into thinking that he's fit for that. He's worthy of it. It's like there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. It says anybody who isn't blind or maimed, without legs or something like this, and fakes himself as if he does have those afflictions in order to gain from that. So the Mishnah says he's not going to leave the world until he's going to be one of those. Whatever it is that he portrays himself as, he's going to be there. So, the Tzika Balev Shlita told me many years ago, okay, what about somebody who pretends to be a Rebbe? A Rama. Who also won't leave this world until he becomes a Rebbe. How does it work? So he told me the answer is yes. But what the inner meaning of it is that he gave me a muscle. Once the king went with his ministers, went walking around, and in the street they saw a drunk, passed out, but he got her. So the king looks at him, and he has Rachmanis over here, and says, just pick him up. We have an extra rooms in the palace because the high priest, the palace, passed away. So his quarters are available, so take the drunkard and put him in there. So they take it and put him in there. In the morning, the drunk gets up and and he finds himself, instead of waking up in the gutter, in this really soft bed, with silk linens and blankets, and and there are servants coming and says, Your Excellency, whatever it is, Your Holiness, whatever is, would you like this? Would you like that? It's like,
He's dead.
no, yeah, he doesn't know what the heck is going on. It's like so it keeps on going on, and he says, he pinches himself. He's awake, he's alive, but and he really doesn't know what to do. I mean, so he waits. He doesn't say anything because it beats sleeping in the street, right, in the gutter. But then, as time goes along, he becomes really uncomfortable with the whole thing. Because on one hand, he knows he's not a priest. On the other hand, to give up all that, to go back to where he was a drunk. It's like, what should he do? It's a dilemma. And he keeps on. He doesn't say anything, but he keeps on like thinking about it and wondering what on earth. And slowly, he reaches a decision. He is going to find out. Because the people are very persuasive. Everybody told him, Your Holiness, Your Highness, Your, I don't know, so he doesn't know. Maybe I'm a priest. I'm the high priest, a cardinal, whatever. I don't know. So okay, so how can he know? He can't ask anyone. So he decides. He sees that all these Galachan books there, scriptures and stuff like this. So he finally finds a solution. He finds, what's the Eitzah? What he's going to do, he's going to take one of the volumes, the thick tomes of Gelochkeit, whatever, and he's going to open it up. He's going to look into it. And if he's going to understand what's written in it, that means that he's a priest. And if not, then
We'll go back to this.
I don't know if we'll go back and say, but we'll see what to do. But first of all, let me find out if I am or I'm not, whatever. So, he pushes it off. He doesn't want to find out, Yeah. So it's himself. He gets the courage and he takes out, this big book. He opens it up. He starts reading, and he doesn't get a thing. The whole thing is Chinese for him. It's just like. So he thinks about it, and he gets the conclusion. The other priests also don't know what's going on in there. They also don't understand what's written in these books. In other words, it's the old fakers like me. It's like, that's okay, because they're like, because nobody understands this. Yeah, that's the pshat. He makes himself as a Rebbe. At the end, he'll believe that he is really a Rebbe, and you don't understand these things. You can't do it. He said, the others are also liars. They also don't understand. Not only that, but if you don't understand in this form, and you realize that you definitely are not a leader, you're definitely not not tzaddik. He sees, he realizes that they're all, I mean, as far as it's concerned, they're all fakers. There's such thing as somebody who really understands these, but just a show. So who is he against? Who is his mortal enemy? The true tzaddikim, right? They're the one who killed the business. You know that. So that's why you can see that the machlokas throughout the generation was always on the true tzaddikim. It's like Havdil, there's a comedian called Mel Brooks in America. So they asked him once about the stories that he tells, the anecdotes that he tells, are they true or they're made up? So he says, the real funny ones are not true. He says, those are they can be true, but the real funny ones are not. So in other words, those that pertain to be, the problem is like who they really are. That's the problem. So the entire Torah is devoted to this mahalach, this process of recognizing who and what and how to find out who is the real one and who is the fake one. This is where we are. You have to have true Yeshamayim, and that causes the whole mahalach. Ultimately, there's the tefillah, the davening becomes free. Your root to Kadosh Baruch Hu becomes free, and then when you hold the power to pray in your hands, that causes the medicines to be superfluous, because everything starts from Dvar Hashem. And somebody was about tefillah, somebody who owns the tefillah, as it were, he has Dvar Hashem with him. And when a person has Dvar Hashem, he can either heal himself or heal other people simply by the food that they have and in the water that they drink. It says, and I will bless your bread and your water, and I should remove all illness from within you. That's what the pasuk means. However, we said there are three avodas, there are three labors, as we started last week, that erode the ability to pray. That connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu that enables you to be on a quote-unquote first-name basis with your Creator. One, al tiyeh baz l'chol odam. Don't be contemptuous of any person. But it's very easy. You see somebody, look at them, come on, it's like jumping over there in Pushkina, whatever it is, with trance music and come on, that's not serious, right? No, as Rabbi Gondel wrote on the thing about this guy to woman. He said, "You are here by special invitation of the tzaddik." He says, "You are apt to see things here, that don't go that well with your way of seeing the world, your culture, the way that you think this means be mentioned." He says, "I'm not going to explain any of this to you. Just remember one thing. They are here on a special and by special invite as well as you. So, it's like a moment. Don't Don't judge anyone. You don't know what they live for. You don't know what's the reason for their lives. Whatever it is, they also have a journey. Their neshama needs to fix whatever. The entire world needs them. So let go. And there's avodah zarah, even a kilkul ve'emunah. When the emunah is not the way it's supposed to be. The emunah is not complete. It's also the bechina for the zarah. And the third one, shmir sabris. It's the guarding the covenant, which obviously is a seed of diburim that need to be spoken about these issues. Emunah is not something that, either you have or you don't have. Every Jew has a spark of emunah within him. And every person, every Jew needs to cultivate the emunah. And the way that you cultivate the emunah is you pray for it, you act on it, and you should be very careful not to utter diburim, not to speak speech of heresy. There's a very famous case, Rabbeinu brings it in Sichas Hara, when it says that don't ever say diburim of heresy, even in jest. He says because the speech has a great power to pull a person to do whatever it is that he said that he is going to do, or it's not a joking matter. I remember, remember how it came about. Oh, there was a joke about it. He says, you don't joke about it. He's the boss. You just don't joke. He's not, that's not a laughing matter. He's not, he's not your pal. It's not, you don't see him eyeball to eyeball, because Baruch Hu is being, infinitely merciful to allow you to speak to him. But as we said, it's the story that Moshe told us about this king that came to visit Likutey. A king is a different thing. A king is not somebody, he's not a wealthy person. I don't care if he is a billionaire, it doesn't matter. A king is not defined by money. Rich people are defined by money. Either they have, or they don't have, or they have a lot, or they give a lot, and they don't give a lot, or who they give, or what they give, whatever. The whole thing is defined with money. Rich people are defined by how much money they have. A king is not like that. King is way beyond the fact that the King of England, whatever it is, her husband used to say, you went, hold on just one second. He went somewhere. This royal visit, whatever. And they were serving food. And he said, it's like, let me sit down and eat with you. He said, because all they feed me is just all this gourmet stuff. He wants to eat some real food. Whatever it is, there's all this. You think that if he's a king or he's a royalty, whatever it is, if he wants to eat, a hamburger or a hot dog, what's the problem? No, can't do that. You're a king. You know, can be seen in hot dogs, whatever it is. Maybe you can go, when you visit, the downtrodden, to show them that you are the men of the people. Maybe you drink a pint of beer and you eat a hot dog together with them. Just to show them that that you can. I remember that I went with my son and grandchildren a time in what was Budapest, Hungary. We didn't have time, whatever. There was no time to go anywhere, whatever. We went to a visit from all things, for all places, a museum of underground trains.
Underground.
Trains. The subways of Hungary. Which it's a very strange place. I mean, it's like it's not mamish up there, but very close to watching paint dry. And as far as excitement is concerned.
Trains?
Yeah, underground trains. The history when it was rented, when they bored a hole.
In Hungary?
In Budapest, yeah. We had an hour. What are you going to do?
Was
2
it
hours.
English or...
What? Yeah, there was English, there was Hungarian, whatever. But the one thing that stuck in my memory is when they had these pictures of the grand opening of the central station of Budapest. And it was attended by the Kaiser, by the Caesar, the Tsar of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the great Franz Josef. The Kaiser Franz Josef, he was like very famous. And he came to visit, and the station is called the Franz Josef Station. And the inauguration, it says that the Kaiser was willing, in his graciousness, to demean himself and to humiliate himself to allow us to use his name for the grand station. That's the way they speak about the king. The fact that he allowed us to use his name was way below his dignity, but he's such an amazing guy that he allowed us, with this great, demeaning and whatever it is. They made it sound like, that he went swimming in mud, and allowed them to use his name. There was another story that I read somewhere else, that there were peasants. They heard that the train of the Kaiser Francis is going to pass, not the underground, just a train. And the entire town, whatever it is, they all stood up all night long, waiting. And about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the train just passed. And that's it. He didn't even know there was anybody outside. But that's the kind of respect that the subjects give to a real king. Truth be told, even nowadays, if you tell, let's say in New York City, okay, that all the people get together, whatever it is, and there's people, they say, something in this bar, Mickey Mantle is in there. His drink is in there, and everybody's standing outside. You don't see nothing. You don't see, but everybody's waiting. Maybe you'll see him coming out. There's no questioning of him. It's Mickey Mantle. Kal v'chomer ben bno shel kal v'chomer, Kodesh Baruch Hu. You have to stoke the emunah. You have to work it, because this world is built to erode emunah. There are nisyonos all the time. that tests and trials and tribulations all the time, that confuse us, that draw the wool over our eyes, and we need to work it, because if you're not moving ahead, you're moving back. And as far as Gamma Bris, I'm not even talking about doing anything. Or watching anything. But even if a person finds himself that he's fantasizing, and by the way, there's no age limit for this. You can be 100 years old, no problem. Whether somebody can do something, cannot do something, has nothing to do with the movies that his own mind is projecting for himself. Even if you know that you don't do anything else, there's one thing that you should know. This is your task. Keep your mind clean of licentious thoughts. You can learn Torah, but Vada is good. If you're going to do everything is, and the thing is, if you don't learn Torah b'koyach, Torah Likutey Moharan, Yetzer Hara will be more powerful than you. He'll bring you down. The only way to overcome is to learn Torah b'koyach, and then you can give the energy to Yetzer Tov in order to overcome the Yetzer Hara. But the thing is that don't give yourself any license to have these thoughts in your mind or to follow these urges. What to do if you fail, that's a separate business. It's a talk for another day. That if you don't work it, the Yetzer Hara doesn't fight you. People who don't fight the Yetzer Hara have a very easy life. They have no trials, no tests, everything is fine. No, normally, it's like what do you want? Everything is these three things, don't despise anyone and work on your emunah and be careful of harming the sanctity of your bris kodesh. Now, before, when we learned about the hero, we said that there are three tendencies, three traits that damage the hero. That's the type of eating, the type of money, and the type of women. Here, the Rebbe speaks about, don't despise anyone, be careful from idol worshiping, and Gamma Bris. So comes the question, we spoke about it once before, comes the question, why, what's the difference between this three and this three? The first three we're talking about, Taivas Achila, Taivas Moment, Taivas this, and here we're talking about despising people, Avodah Zarah, and again, Gamma Bris is something, Taivas Noshem, Gamma Bris, this is the same thing. What's the difference between the first set and the second set? The answer is the first set is something that you need to moderate. You need to, to synchronize. You need to measure, because you need money, you need to eat, you need to have children. Okay, so it's not, you can't just cross it off and says, okay, that's it. You can't do this. On the other hand, when we talk, so this is called the midas. Here, the last set of despising people, being contemptuous of people, and Avodah Zarah and Gamma Bris, the answer is this is zero tolerance. Nada. Out of your lexicon. And it's very easy for a person to know whether it's problematic in those areas, because the tefillah is a very, very sensitive issue. It's a very skittish animal, quote unquote. The minute you damage it, speaking to Kodesh Baruch Hu becomes almost like chewing straw. That's the simon. I've been indulging myself in whatever it is that I should have. And then we saw how each one is called an avoid, it's called a labor. He says, and you need to get out of those three labors, and then you zoichet avodas tefillah. Then tefillah becomes your tool, and then you can actually heal yourself or anybody else with everything in the world, even in bread and water. And this is what Chazal said, Maseches Pesachim. One is allowed to heal himself in everything except avodah zarah, gila eroyes, and promiscuity or righteousness, and shvichas damim, and bloodshed. That's what Rabbeinu says. Bachol misapin, you can heal yourself with anything. That's with water, with bread, whatever it is. You don't need the medicines. Now, you can heal yourself with anything in the world. You can get yourself from all the foods in the world. Except idol worshiping and immorality and bloodshed. Now, these three midas. These are the three avodas. When a person gets out of these three traits, then a person can heal himself with everything, even in bread and water. When a person is not deep to his neck with these three avodas, then he's zoichet avodas tefillah, and then he can heal himself with absolutely everything in the world. Baruch Hashem, it seems like we are going through these limudim, and sometimes you get to feel like, okay, so when do we actually get to learn the Likutey Moharan? It's like every year we sort of like recapping the whole thing, and then we're moving a little bit ahead, and then it's like, where's the sitting down, the lumdas, There are two answers to this that we need to very carefully understand and remember. First, Likutey Moharan is not the Rebbe. Likutey Moharan is the funnel that when you learn it, the Rebbe can get into you. You ingesting the Rebbe. Rebbe is way beyond Likutey Moharan, way beyond. When we know of two more Sfarim that the Rebbe wrote, the hidden Sefer and the burnt Sefer, that were way beyond the Likutey Moharan. But even those Sfarim Rebbe is way, way beyond all these. So the Likutey Moharan that we learn is in order, it's like a shoehorn that enable us to insert the Rebbe into us. The Rabbeinu says, that in every, into our being.
The ways of the Rebbe.
No, the Rebbe himself. If I could explain it to you, I would. But that's the truth. That's the truth. When the Rebbe is in you, you are something else.
He thinks about what the Rebbe says.
No. By thinking of what the Rebbe says, you are bringing him into you. As the Rebbe says, it is a very sophisticated and subtle Indian. The Rebbe says that an El Chayid, Yehudi Kasher, he looks, when you look at him from the outside, he looks like everybody else. He's going around, with heart and eyes and legs, whatever it is, just with kishkas, the Rebbe says, together like, he looks like everybody else. But the Rebbe says, but hu inyan acher legamre is a totally different matter. What? It's not possible to explain what an El Chayid is. And I'm not talking about the tzaddik. We're talking about any El Chayid, any of you. There's no fathoming of what El Chayid people are. So when we are learning Likutey Moharan, we are we're creating the pathway for the tzaddik to get into us. As Rav Eliyahu Meirav, Zichron Levrachos, used to say, as the Rebbe says in Chelek Aleph Tereches, it says, the Rebbe breathes me like a people that can breathe on their own. I saw it, by myself, that when it says that the simplest of my people says, I lead in a way of great, great tzaddikim. And I only noticed it like years ago. I was involved with a very successful marketing campaign for a very important Jewish organization. And Baruch Hashem was so successful that they took the entire office staff to a Shabbos in Arad, in a hotel. As guests of the organization. And they had everything, besides the food and everything, they had, the rabbinical advisory board of the organization, and they had Tamid Chacham that spoke, and some people were funny, and they were witty, whatever. So, and all expenses paid, vacation. And being that I was a significant cog in the marketing campaign. So on Shabbos with Pashas Noach, so I asked him if I could speak Shalosh Udas. I said, of course. And I learned Torah Kufyat Beis 112 in Likutey Moharan. It deals, with what do you do when you're enveloped in darkness and you can't find yourself home and what to do. And the Rebbe says, there's eitzes, whatever it is.
So hard.
Mm-hmm.
So hard.
Yes. So I remember speaking to them, and they're all, I spoke about, when a person falls, there's nephilas, he gets up, what to do, what to not to do, whatever. And I looked at them, they were all very respectful, but I saw it in their eyes that I was speaking Spanish to them as far as they were concerned. I was boring them out of their wits. What are you talking about? Going up, going down, putting this, putting that. What is this? These old people learn Torah in the Shekoilovim, and what are you talking about? Everything is fine, life is good. What do you want me talking about? Elias Vidas. And then I realized each one of these people, I don't come up, not even to their ankles, but to the bottom of their feet when it comes to Torah, to Kedusha, and mamish, nothing. Yet these diburim that I speak, that I spoke to them, were, like, way over their head. Way over their head. I realized it was not me. The Rebbe. When the Rebbe is in you, you speak the kind of diburim that even this great Rabbonim, which are way, way, way above me, above my pay grade, in any way, shape, or form you want. It counts. Torah, Kedusha, whatever you want. Nevertheless, when you are involved with the Rebbe, your diburim are diburim of tzaddikim, because the Rebbe is in you. So whatever it is that we speak of the Rebbe's Torah, this is not to bring the Rebbe into us. That's point number one. Point number two, this entire Torah talks about a very substantial issue that I have to do much more homework in order to be able to explain to myself, let alone explain to you. And that is, you're supposed to see, to be mekash yourself, to connect yourself to the true tzaddikim, right? And it's important to know who are real and who are fake. Okay? But I still don't know how to connect myself to tzaddikim. How do you do it? How is it done? Why is it, if it's just saying, I'm connecting myself to all the true tzaddikim generation, to tzaddikim, to others, especially to Rabbeinu, why do I need to know who is the real, who is fake? Just, just aim to connect to all the real ones, to the real McCoys, and that's it. So apparently I need to do how to do something. If I need to be able to recognize the fake ones, it's important. It's a whole issue all its own. It's a whole kasha all its own. But the main issue of this Torah, is predicated on what it is you need to keep yourself away from. Taivas moment, taivas achila, taivas noshim, despising people, avodah zarah, gamabrit. The Torah is almost solely focused on sumera. Stay away from bad. All the different, we're not talking about, what you do, what is it, asatoid, the Torah does not talk about any of this. The Torah is almost completely predicated on how not to do bad. And this is an incredibly important lesson that we need to talk about, we need to learn, and we need to repeat again and again and again. As I think that the things Kohelet says it, Al titzdak harbe, ve'al tirsha harbe. Don't be too much of a tzaddik, don't be too much of a rasa. Le'inyanenu, the main thing that we need to learn, and we need to drill into ourselves, keep away from bad. Keep away from bad. Yeah, but I want to learn, I want to this. Fine. V'kasha, learn as much as you can, the more the better. In fact, without learning, your Yetzer Tov won't have a koyach to overcome the Yetzer Hara. But the number one directive, keep yourself away from bad. If it's the types that you need to calibrate, or it's the things that you need to completely eradicate from your life, that's number one. That is number one. So we may learn these stories that we're learning. The main thing we're focusing on is how to implement these things into our lives. How to get up when you're falling down. How to succeed if you have nothing to write home about. You have no successes to write home about. How to succeed then. This is what our Torah is. And as I told you many times before, and I'll keep on telling you again, if we were, each of us was somebody else than who we are, we would be very envious of us.
Envious of what?
Of us, who we are. We're sitting here, we're saying these diburim. Each word is a Gan Eden. Each word is a diamond that exists forever. It doesn't matter who we are, how low we are, whatever it is. Every single word that we read of Rabbeinu is a piece of Gan Eden, is a piece of. Yeah, but we look at us. If we were somebody else, not us, we would be very envious of us. As Baruch Hashem should help us, should have a good Shabbos, a good Chodesh, and for Shleimach, of course, Moshe ben Chaya, and B'ezrat Hashem, the hostages, it's Hashem, that are coming, Shem Yazor. In many ways, their journey will just be beginning. Like Holocaust survivors, Shem Yirachem, Shem Yirachem. It's not a simple thing being a Jew, is it?
No.
Kol Tov, Hatzlocha.
Who's Moshe?